The message came through at 3:42 a.m., Korea time. Subject line, "Let's keep this civil." No greeting, no explanation, just that. My name is Alec Monroe. I'm 37. Technical Sergeant, U.S. Air Force. 12 years married, 2 deployments. This was my second time stationed at Osan Air Base. 9-month rotation, surveillance and control. Not exactly combat, but it wasn't vacation either. Concrete barracks, humidity that stuck to your ribs. You showered and still felt dirty. The air always smelled like burnt oil and old socks. I sat up in my cot, screen glowing cold blue in the dark. The room was dead quiet. Just a distant hum of the base generators and the occasional snore from Reyes 2 bunks over. I read the email again. "I've filed." That was it. 3 words to gut, 12 years. I didn't move, didn't throw anything, didn't wake anyone up to rant. I just set the phone down on the footlocker and stared at the ceiling. I'd been expecting something, just not this blunt. Caitlin and I met during undergrad at Central Michigan. She was art major turned elementary teacher. I was on the ROTC track. We got married after graduation, moved into a 2-bedroom just outside Lansing. The kind of place with chain-link fences and cracked sidewalks, but decent neighbors. She used to leave little sticky notes in my lunch. Bad puns, smiley faces, reminders to grab milk. It was sweet, real. Now, she couldn't even give me a salutation. A few months before deployment, things had shifted. Not all at once, just small fractures. She stopped calling me babe. Her gym visits doubled, but she never seemed sore. Her card showed charges for bars she claimed she hated. She changed her lock screen, then her passwords. I wasn't blind. I'm not the jealous type either, but I noticed. I'd mentioned the shift once, casually, asked if everything was all right. She laughed, said I was being paranoid, that I was too used to military mindset, that not everything was a threat to analyze. So I dropped it, but I didn't forget, and I didn't trust the laughter. Before I left, I quietly scanned all our documents, titled Assets, Mortgage Info, my TSP login. I kept a thumb drive with duplicates locked in my go bag, just in case. Caitlin always thought that was overkill. "We're not spies," she'd say. No, I'd think, we're not. But I've seen people get blindsided before, deploy, come home, and realize they'd been erased in their own life. Now I understood why those guys kept their eyes so damn flat when they told their stories. I pulled up my banking app, joint checking, $12.76. Savings, gone. I logged out, logged into the second account, the one I'd opened last year without telling her. Not to hide money, just to have a runway in case. That one was intact. She hadn't touched it. The barracks lights flicked on. Someone cursed softly. I looked around, guys groaning, pulling on boots, grabbing razors. I sat still another minute, then stood up and got dressed. I didn't say anything. Nobody asked. That's the thing about base life. Nobody pries. They know when not to poke at a guy whose face just went stone blank overnight. After breakfast, I ducked into the comms center and checked our home Wi-Fi camera app. I'd left it active, buried in the system. She didn't know it still worked. Nothing strange yet, no strange cars, no strange men. Just our house, my house, empty. For now. She was too calm in that email, too sure of herself. That wasn't just a woman ending a marriage. That was a woman already past it, and planning something. I opened a secure notes file on my phone and wrote, "Call Theo, pull latest house deed, check mail forwarding, freeze joint credit, change TSP password." I paused, then added, "Do not react emotionally." The last one was for me. Caitlin never understood the military, not really. She loved the benefits, the security, but she didn't understand the culture, the discipline, that when you get hit, you don't swing wild, you plant your feet, you measure, you wait for the right strike. I looked back at the message again. We need to finalize everything. She already assumed she'd won. That was her first mistake, and the only warning she'd get. The email didn't rattle me, not really, but the photo did. It came from my neighbor Dan. Subject line, "Hey man, is this legit?" It was a screenshot of a Facebook ad, a local realty page boosting a new listing in desirable Lansing. My address, my house, plastered in Helvetica font under a wide shot of the porch I'd built myself. For sale. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Wrong house. Dan's old, maybe he clicked the wrong pick. But no. There was the mailbox I painted with Caitlin last fall, the cracked walkway, the stupid lawn gnome she insisted on keeping even after its hat broke off. Ours. No doubt. I didn't move, didn't blink, just clicked open the link he'd included underneath. Zillow. Listing active 7 days. Charming 3-bedroom in desirable school district. Interior photos, staged, my TV still mounted, my bookshelf still full, the desk. My grandfather's watchmaker's desk sitting under the front window, still there. That one hit harder than the rest. I sat back in the plastic chair in the base comms center, the fluorescent light buzzing above me, like it always did. My knuckles cracked on their own, not from rage, from tension, tight, controlled. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was calculating. I called Caitlin first, straight to voicemail, then again. Nothing. Third time, I left a message. Hey, call me back, now. That was it. No yelling, no demands. She'd already shown her hand. I walked straight to the JAG office, asked for Lieutenant Grayson, our base legal officer. Told her I had a question about property fraud. She raised an eyebrow. I kept my voice steady. I'm deployed. My house back home's up for sale. I didn't approve it. She asked a few questions. I answered each one, flat, name, address, deed information, mortgage history. She pulled something up on her terminal. There's a power of attorney on file, she said. Submitted 2 months ago. I stared at her. Signed by who? She turned the screen. My name, my social, my supposed signature. Only it wasn't. The signature was a cheap imitation. The middle initial was off, and the curve of the M looked like a Hallmark card. I signed like a technician. Tight, mechanical, exact. This was loose, confident, fake. Caitlin knew I'd never sign a power of attorney. Not after what happened to my dad. My uncle forged one, tried to drain his pension after a stroke. I swore I'd never let someone have that kind of control over my life. Caitlin was there for all of it. She knew, and she did it anyway. Grayson looked at me. You want to initiate a fraud investigation? I nodded once. Yes, and I need copies of that POA, every version. Back in the barracks, I didn't talk to anyone. Skipped chow. Just sat on my bunk and stared at the wall while the air around me hummed with other people's lives. Someone laughed down the hall. Someone else cursed over a card game. None of it touched me. I opened my encrypted file storage and pulled up the scans of the original deed. The house was bought under a VA loan, so it was in my name only. Caitlin's name was on the title, but the mortgage, the equity, the paperwork that mattered, mine. The desk in the listing photos sat under the bay window, sunlight hitting the top just like it used to when I'd polish it. That desk came from my grandfather. He built watches in a little shop outside Milwaukee, used that same bench for 40 years. When he died, it was the only thing I asked for. And now she was selling it like it was nothing. I called Theo. He picked up on the third ring. Hey cousin, what's going on? I didn't bother with small talk. I think she forged my name. He was quiet for a moment. Okay. Sit tight. Tell me everything. So I did. Theo was former JAG, 4 years in, now doing private litigation work in Chicago. Smart, cold, dangerous when motivated. He didn't interrupt me once. When I finished, he just said, "Send me the POA. I'll get eyes on it tonight." I hung up and sat still in the dark. I didn't want revenge. I wanted precision. This wasn't about pride. It was about keeping what I built. And if Caitlin thought this was going to be simple, sell the house, drain the accounts, vanish with a forged signature and a fresh start, she was about to learn what it felt like to underestimate the wrong man. Because I wasn't going to fight her. I was going to gut her plan, quietly, completely, and without mercy. The footage wasn't grainy. It was crisp. High-res, audio on, 60-day cloud backup. I'd installed the new system before my last deployment. Caitlin called it overkill. I called it peace of mind. Theo forwarded me the link with no comment. I watched it from my bunk, earbuds in, room dim. Osan's barracks never really got quiet, but I tuned out the noise. There he was, tall, shaved head, tattoo down one arm, carrying a box into my garage like he owned it. My car, my goddamn car, was parked in the driveway. Not hers, mine. The 12 Charger I rebuilt with my dad's old socket set. She hated that car, said it was too loud, too aggressive. Devin Cole didn't seem to mind. He popped the trunk, pulled out a paint roller, walked up the steps like he belonged. Caitlin followed behind him, holding takeout, Thai judging by the bag. She never ordered Thai with me, said it upset her stomach. Inside, another camera picked them up in the kitchen. He was wearing my field jacket, issued gear from my first overseas tour, faded camo, name tape barely holding on. He grabbed my thermos from the shelf, the steel one my dad gave me when I commissioned, scarred from years of use, the same one she once forgot in the dishwasher until the lid warped. He laughed at something she said, leaned against the butcher block counter I built by hand. She smiled. Theo called 2 hours later. His name's Devin Cole. Ring a bell? No. High school friend of Caitlin. Opened a CrossFit gym in Jackson 3 years ago. It failed. He's filed bankruptcy twice. Great. Worse, identity theft charge in 17. Plea deal. No jail time, but he's on every bank's watch list. I didn't say anything. Theo continued. I pulled the mortgage documents from the county clerk's system. There was a refinance last month. Pulled $120,000 out of the house. That requires my signature. I know. Pause. It's forged. How bad? Sloppy. Wrong slant, wrong signature order. Anyone who looks close will see it's fake, but the notary check cleared somehow. I leaned back in the plastic chair, feeling the chill of the concrete through the floor. Where's the money? Split. He shuffled papers. About $60,000 into an account under Caitlin's name, same bank you used for the joint account. Other $60,000 went into a Coinbase wallet linked to Devin's email address. That one's harder to claw back. Of course it was. They're liquidating, Theo said. House is still listed, not under contract anymore, which means the first buyer backed out. Probably smelled something off. But they're trying again. So we stop it. We are. His tone shifted. Professional now. Cold. I filed for emergency injunction on the sale and liened the property until this gets sorted. Also subpoenaed the realtor and submitted fraud alerts to the lender. And I've looped in a friend at the Michigan Financial Crimes Unit. That got my attention. You went state? Has to be. Crosses state lines, military deployment, forged federal documents, stolen equity from a VA loan. It's not just a domestic squabble anymore. I didn't thank him, didn't need to. Theo doesn't do favors. He does missions. He just needed the go-ahead. I'll send you everything for review, he said. But you're locked down tight. They can't touch the house or the funds now. If they try anything else, they'll trip into a criminal case. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. 12 years. That's how long we were married. The kitchen in those security videos. I painted it with her one winter. She picked this ugly teal color that clashed with everything else. I hated it, but she smiled so big I didn't say a word. We played music off her old iPod, drank 2 strong French roast, and got paint on our clothes. She laughed when I smeared a stripe across her cheek, said it made her look like she'd survived a war zone. Now she's letting some con artist wear my hoodie, drink from my mug, live in the space I built. It didn't hurt anymore, not like before. No weight in my chest, no tightness in my throat, just clean surgical focus. I wasn't in love, I wasn't grieving, I was planning. I opened my notes file, added 2 new lines. Trace Coinbase transfer. Research line for closure options. Then I closed my laptop, stood up, and got ready for my night shift. Radar duty, tower ops, weather intel, same as always. But tonight, it felt different. Because now the trap was set. And Devin had walked straight into it. Caitlin wore a floral dress, light blue with little yellow flowers, like she was headed to a Sunday picnic, not a courtroom. Devin walked beside her in a suit that looked one size too small, sleeves tight at the biceps, collar tugging at his neck. He spotted me sitting at the front table and gave a nod, like we were on the same side, like he had any idea what was about to hit him. I didn't nod back, I didn't blink. I sat still, one hand resting on the table, the other holding a bottle of water I'd barely touched. Calm, measured, let them think this was going to be civil. That was their mistake. They walked in expecting divorce court. What they got was financial triage, delivered by a judge who smelled the fraud before we opened the folder. The judge walked in, gavel down. Case number 38,291, Monroe v. Monroe et al. Allegations of forgery, real estate fraud, and identity theft under review. Counsel, proceed. Caitlin's lawyer stood first. Gray suit, smooth voice, tried to spin the whole thing as a misunderstanding. Misfiled paperwork, he called it. Said the power of attorney was confusing, but not malicious. Claimed the refinance was agreed upon via phone conversations that weren't recorded, that Caitlin was under the impression her husband had approved everything. I didn't look at her, just opened the folder in front of me and handed the judge a flash drive. Theo stood, calm, director. Exhibit A, home security footage showing Mr. Cole residing at the plaintiff's property, wearing the plaintiff's belongings, using the plaintiff's vehicle. Exhibit B, financial records indicating a $120,000 refinance processed without the plaintiff's knowledge or signature. Exhibit C, verified signature samples from the plaintiff and the forged documents submitted by the defendants. And finally, Exhibit D, he looked over at Caitlin, then at Devin. Evidence that Mr. Cole accessed the plaintiff's restricted military pay information using the defendant's personal login credentials, violating both federal privacy statutes and military security protocols. The courtroom went still, dead silent. Devin's lawyer, some kid who looked fresh out of law school, shifted in his seat like he just realized he'd walked into the wrong damn case. The judge flipped through the exhibits. His mouth tightened at the signature comparison. Turned pale at the video stills, Devin holding my mug, laughing in my kitchen, arm slung casually around Caitlin's waist, like he belonged there. Caitlin's lawyer whispered something. She leaned in, nodded, then glanced over at me. And I swear, for a second she didn't recognize me, like I wasn't the man she married. Or maybe she was seeing me for the first time. The real version, the one who didn't beg, didn't yell, didn't flinch. She started to cry. Quiet at first, then louder. Tissue to her cheek, hand on Devin's arm. He looked confused, like none of this was going the way he'd planned. It wasn't. The judge cleared his throat. This is no longer a matter for divorce court. Given the evidence, I'm ordering an emergency freeze on all assets connected to the refinance. Full restitution hearings will be scheduled, and this court is referring the forgery and financial misconduct to the Michigan State Prosecutor's Office for criminal review. Caitlin gasped. Devin's mouth opened. Closed, no words came out. I took a sip of water. Outside the courthouse, the air was crisp, late spring chill in the wind. Theo stood next to me, flipping through his phone. "You're going to want to see this," he said. He turned the screen toward me. News alert, local paper. Man arrested in military fraud scheme. Authorities investigating further. Under the headline, a mugshot. Devin Cole. Blank expression, tired eyes. And my old Navy hoodie, the one with the squadron patch, the same one I wore in our engagement photo. The irony wasn't lost on me. I looked at it for a long moment, then handed the phone back. We walked to the car without saying much. I didn't need to talk. I'd already said everything that mattered, just not with words. They came to court thinking it was going to be a clean break, thought they could control the narrative, paint me as the absent husband, too busy serving his country to notice what was going on back home. What they didn't expect was that I'd been watching, calculating, waiting, and by the time they realized how deep the damage was, how much evidence we had stacked against them, it was already too late. The mornings here smell like pine and river stone. Cool air rolls down off the mountains and settles in the low brush. And if you're up early enough, the fog clings to the tree line like it doesn't want to leave. I never set an alarm anymore. Don't need one. The silence wakes me. The kind that doesn't hum with electricity or traffic or other people's lives. It's been a year. I sold the house 6 months after the judge awarded it to me. Left the keys on the counter and never looked back. Used the profit to buy this land in northern Idaho. 12 acres, a stream, and a one-room cabin I rebuilt myself. No neighbors in sight, no HOA, just trees, sky, and clean air. I flipped the switch. New number, new address, new life. No social media, no trail. Caitlin didn't go to jail. Technically, she didn't commit a crime they could prove beyond a doubt. Her lawyer painted her as manipulated, coerced, said she didn't know the refinance was illegal, claimed Devin did everything behind her back. Maybe some of that was true. I don't care. The state suspended her teaching license for falsifying financial documents. She lost her job, her credit tanked. Last I heard, she was living with her sister 2 towns over, working retail, trying to dig herself out. Her name's Mud in Lansing. She called once, left a message asking if we could talk like adults. I didn't respond. We already had, in court. Devin got 4 years federal, identity theft, wire fraud, and unauthorized access to military systems. His plea deal gave up a few others in exchange for leniency. Turned out he'd done this before, multiple times, different women, same playbook. I wasn't the first, but I was the one who stopped it. I still remember his face when the sentence came down. Blank. Like it hadn't clicked yet. Like it wasn't real. He looked at Caitlin when they cuffed him, like she might fix it. She just stared at the table. No flowers that day, no too-tight suit. Theo handled the rest, liquidated everything we needed, closed accounts, filed paperwork. He didn't send updates unless I asked. I didn't ask much, just wanted it done. The only thing I took from the old house was my grandfather's desk. It sat in the back of a U-Haul, wrapped in old quilts, while I drove north on empty roads, windows down, music off. That desk is bolted to the cabin floor now. Took me half a day to install it right. Solid, permanent. Every morning, I grind beans by hand and brew coffee in a tin kettle over the stove. Same enamel mug, no chips. Still fits my hand like it used to. And now it tastes good again. Real, clean. A letter arrived 2 weeks ago. Handwritten. No return address, just an APO number. The handwriting was tight. Masculine, disciplined. Sir, it started, you don't know me. I'm stationed in Germany. My wife was approached by someone running the same scheme you exposed. She didn't fall for it, but only because your case was flagged in our briefing. We read it in a base security bulletin. Your name wasn't listed, but I found you anyway. Just wanted to say thank you. You saved us. I read it 3 times. Then I pinned it to the wall above the desk, next to a photo of my dad in uniform and the wrench set he left me. That letter sits there as a reminder. Some good came out of all the wreckage. Something real. I don't think about Caitlin much anymore. When I do, it's quiet, like remembering a dream you woke up from too fast. Was it ever real? Maybe parts of it. Maybe she loved me once. Maybe I did too. But whatever we were, it's gone now. She thought betrayal would level me. But it didn't destroy me. It stripped everything fake and left me steel. It built something stronger. And this time, every inch of it is mine.